Well, hello guys, it's me, Fraser, again. Today I thought I'd try something different. I thought I'd get this highly underrated aircraft, although it has a few bugs. So I'm going to try the lovely CRJ-700 in the Alliance livery, which is Australian livery. This is the closest thing we can get to a Fokker 100. Can't wait when Just Flight releases their Fokker 100, which they're building at the moment, but this is the closest thing we'll get to one of these. So we're going to do your standard fly in, fly out mining flight. I thought we'll give this island here a go. I was having a look at what Fokker 100 flights there are, and this one came up from Perth to Barrow Island. So we'll give this one a go, see what. So RNAV approach, so we'll try to do an RNAV approach in this plane. And yeah, here we are might have a quick little wander around Perth Airport. Just to see what this airport looks like. This is one of my very, very first online purchases, this airport. Stunning airport. Although it hasn't seen... I do like these simple airports. It doesn't have any fancy interior that sucks up the memory. I do wish Flight Simulator would release one of these. I'd love to get my hands on one of these and fly around, especially New Zealand. But yeah, this is the Perth Airport. This is the domestic area. This is where most of the fly in, fly out operators operate out of. I think this is predominantly a Qantas terminal actually. And you've got your other various hangars. Unfortunately these are not all like in their correct areas, but it is what it is. Coburn, that's another airline we need to fly at some stage too. Ignore that. But yeah, this is Perth Airport. This would have been full of metro liners and Saabs and whatnot. This part here, you've got these international carriers that fly into this airport. Not quite parked on where they would be parked. This is the yeah, we're going to be taking off from runway 21 and flying northbound. Jetstar starting, oh that's AirAsia, starting its takeoff run. It's a really nice airport. I don't think they've updated it in a long time, but it's going to be interesting when they put the second runway in, which I believe is going to go over here somewhere, and then they're going to have this nice terminal that wraps all the way around. But yeah, this is the international apron. And I do believe that other fly in, fly out operators use these terminals as well. We might actually, when we do the return flight, we'll park in here and yeah, right, get back into the aircraft. This is in cold and dark, so we'll do a full cold and dark startup. So we'll open up some of these doors. Hold up a sec. I've got this pushback helper tool that I use. It's not the fancy one, but it's a good one nonetheless. So we'll open up the doors. We're going to use, are these jetways working? Yep, they are. So we'll put the guardrails into the down position, open up these doors, add the GPU. So this plane is on, starts all powering up. And we'll go up here, we turn on the battery. You would go through all of these system tests and all the rest of it. I don't really bother with that. I might do that one time for you guys, but I need to learn where everything is. Turn on the ground power, get this APU up and running. We might as well just get these air conditioning units on so we don't forget about it. Turn on the windshield, turn on all of these air conditioning buttons. I like everything bright, so turn on all of these lights, turn on the navigation light, logo light so people know where we are. Lower that, turn on all of these lights. I like everything nice and bright. While we are at it, we will turn on the navigation systems, engage this, I think it's the trims and whatnot, engage the yaw dampener, turn this to standby. Yeah, I think we're ready to get this plane configured for takeoff, so we will go to our sim briefing to see our flight plan. It's easier to use this, I find. Qantas there, pulling into the gate, presumably after its long flight from Sydney or somewhere like that. Right, we'll start programming this plane. So our position is YPPH, which is Perth. Then we go to the next page and copy one of these GPS positions and paste it into there. That's done. We're going from YPPH to YBWX. Execute. Our flight number is, actually this is a flight number that was recently used today for the same flight, but in the Fokker 100. Then we want to add in our departure, which is 21 X5, which is this one. Execute flight plan. Now we want to add in our flight plan, so we're going to go to the next page. We're going to put in our waypoint, our airway, which is Y152. This one here. Big nut. Very careful with that pronunciation there, you don't want to get that one wrong, especially on YouTube. Big LUT, just for security. Execute. And I believe I'm just going to go into my active sky map just to see what, I don't think there's any weather forecast up there that's loaded into this game, but I believe I've got to try and find the airport now. Where is it in location of this? Gosh, this can be rather frustrating at times. Nothing but a simple reset would help. On here we're landing on runway 21, so we'll just see what the wind is doing on my active sky chart. Oh, I think I found it now. Oh, the wind's actually coming from the north, so that is probably, yeah, that's probably the runway, the correct, oh no, we'll use runway 03 actually. That's if they've got charts for that. do have the approaches for this, which is great. What approaches are they though? That's the million-dollar question. Okay, so we'll just fly directly into this one here, this waypoint here. Oh, let's do this one, let's fly into WX 25A. So just put in our arrival, which is RNAV Z3, and what was it? WX 25A. Oh, it's a 2SA, that is 2SA, this one here. Execute. So that's our flight plan all basically sorted. And we click on flight plan, and then we go into our Perth init, and we'll just make sure that's all looking relatively good. Now we want to go to Perth init, and go to performance, and we want to set this to 0 fuel weight. And our 0 fuel weight for our takeoff is .28, we'll just round that up to 28160. Enter, and our fuel that we need, we'll round that up to, we'll make that 3. We'll make that 5.5 tons, just for security. Enter. Now we just load it into the simulator, load it into the FMS. Might as well set our speed while we're at it. So that's all loaded in. Now cruising altitude is going to be 37,000 feet until we get to that waypoint there. So where's that animation? Ah yes, so you know, I might as well just make it 38. 38 is going to be fine. 38,000 feet. Execute. Now we want to go to this next page, and we want to add in the average ISA, which is here. So we have to do, we do plus for this one, +8, and the average wind condition is +4. So you need to push plus P for plus and push 4 for this one. Execute. And our reserves, I think we added roughly, we'll just go 900. And then our taxi fuel, I've set it. You can actually preset this thing, so if you go into, it's usually consistent, it's 227. I'll carry on what I'm doing first, then I'll show you how to preset things. In Australia, I think our generic, whatchamacallit, is, I'm guessing 10,000 feet. Yep, 10,000 feet. I need to add in that other approach as well while I'm at it. Add that into our flight plan. We don't need this anymore. That is also, so 10,000 feet. Execute. Oh. Next page. So I've set these values differently to what you probably have on your CRJ at home, because I mean everyone has a CRJ-700 sitting in their garage. But I was watching this YouTube tutorial, one of the very first ones, and this guy was speaking to a real world CRJ pilot, and he told him to add in these values. He was an American pilot, so I'm just following what he suggested. So I've got these set as default, so I'll show you how to do that shortly, but I'll just add in the transition altitude for our arrival. And that's basically our flight plan, basically all set up in the CRJ. It's actually very simple. If you haven't used one of these before, like when I first got this plane, I was mortified. I thought this was just going to be like the Airbus. You just push a few random buttons and away you go. But this spent a good 6 months in the hangar. But a very expensive purchase too, by the way, when it first came out. Purchased this when it first came out, and it just sat in the hangar because I had no idea on how to fly this thing. And this plane was probably about the same time I learned how to fly the Airbus using this FMS, but yeah, it took me a little while to get used to it, but once I mastered it, it's very much a piece of cake. So one thing we need to do is go into this. We need to set this to VNAV, so we've got our VNAV, whatchamacallits. I usually turn off the airports because it gets too cluttered. I don't think the missed approaches work on this plane, so I don't need to worry too much about that. Same with the alternative flight plan. And then on the right hand side, I just set this to on, get the airport set, and that's that done. Where did I think it's in here somewhere where trying to figure out where I sit in here. Just trying to figure out where I entered in those default. Right, in here, so this is where you come to set your default taxi out, which is generally that. Climb speed, you just leave it at that. Cruise altitude, that's the one you want to set to 300 / or you just push, when you enter it, you just /0.77, and then that's your descent one there. Is you want to set that one too. I don't bother with that because the trans altitude changes from wherever I fly. So that's where you go into adjust the defaults. So you go into index, defaults, and then you just edit to your heart's content. That's the one you probably want to use. Make sure that's set, and then that's the variable one. If you're going to fly in the US all the time, change it to the US. Europe, if you're flying DHL, I think predominantly it's relatively the same too. I think it's 6,000 feet, whatever it is. But yeah, that's where you go to do that. Go back to your flight plan, go to legs page. We want to clear this. So to clear this discontinuity, you either go push clear and you clear this, or you click on this waypoint here, then you click on this empty space, and that's how you clear that gap. Then you need to make sure you execute it. One thing we need to do is set our, one thing about these Aerosoft aircraft is they're very hard to read. So we're going to set our cruise altitude to 38. And then we want to set our, I think Perth Airport is basically sea level, isn't it? We'll have a look. I mean, I don't think this plane is modelled exactly to the, it's definitely not like study level, but the airport elevation is 60 feet. So we want to set it up here, so landing elevation, for some reason you do it for your takeoff airport first from what I've read online. That's, oh, can you hear the clock here? someone's coughing to make themselves known. So we'll just set it at, it goes up into values of 20, so we'll just set it to 60 for now, and then we'll set it for our landing altitude once we're in the air. We'll set these to local time. And we will set our takeoff trim, which is 7.2, so it's and then we can basically close up the doors. I think we are all ready to leave, so we can get rid of the jetway. Shut the door. We've done all of that. And where we're going to taxi out, so we're roughly here. We're just going to take off from runway 21, so we'll probably just follow this taxiway along here and then out on 21. What's the runway heading? We should add the runway heading while we're at it. 196, so before we go anywhere we'll do our runway heading, 296. Try and get it in the right position so you can see. 196. Yes, 196, just confirm, yep, 196, perfect. So we are all ready to go really. Right, so what we need to do is turn on our beacon light. Do we need to unplug that? We are now going to be on APU. Set these hydraulics 1, 3 and 4 into auto. Turn on our no smoking, armed emergency exits. We are now ready to, before we do anything, I just put on the BAE, so I need to change the my throttle to the generic 2-engine aircraft that I got set for, and make sure because I've got my throttle configured. So we are ready to go, guys. Pushback tug is now connecting to the aircraft. We get rid of the chocks and turn on our fuel pumps, which is a good start. Disengage the handbrake and raise the flaps. For some reason when I go into the menu it deploys the flaps. So yeah, this is Alliance here. They predominantly fly all of your fly in, fly out mining charter flights. So I thought we would represent that in this flight today. Once we get past this white line, we'll start engine number 2. And, is this engine, or the right engine first, so push that, start the engine. Once it gets above 10, we will introduce the fuel into the engine, so we can do that now. Drag it up like so. If you see me clicking somewhere over here, I'm just clicking on this little pushback helper thing that I have. That will do, you can stop that there. That engine's basically fired up, so we can now do the same for the left-hand engine. I might do a single engine start next time. Taxi, definitely know you can do it in these aircraft. Right, we can engage the fuel. Make sure your throttles are sit back. We can arm the reserve thrust just in case we need them in emergency. Engage the nose wheel steering because we are now clear of that. And if we go to this flight control page, we can do your generic don't know why the spoilers are around though. That's maybe it's because when we engage this they'll release, but there we go. That's the engine started. We can now turn on this hydraulic. By the way, this is what I learned when I was doing that. It's done. That's what I learned from when I was doing that tutorial right from the beginning. That this American pilot, he always had that. Which one is that? 3A left in. No, it's 3B, wasn't it? No, it's 3A. He always left that off until after engine start. Got no idea what it does, but I just do it. Engage the heading, engage navigation, engage speed. This won't do much. What's the generic system that they always have it on? Stats page, that's the one we want. So we are basically all ready to go. We will disengage the brake, set our flaps to 8 degrees takeoff, get this onto the performance just so that's there for reference. What else is there to do? Taxi lights, they can all come on. Turn off the APU, that's one thing I do seem to forget a lot when I'm flying this. Takeoff config, that's what we want. Takeoff config is okay. So we are going to taxi along up here, then around, and then we're going to depart. In real life, this is, when I'm doing this is probably about 10 or 11 o'clock at night. What is the time now in Sydney? Oh, get that correct information actually. The time in Australia is in Perth 8:40 PM. But I'm pretending to do an early morning flight. 7 o'clock flight. Take these hard-working miners up to their base for the next 2 weeks, isn't it? 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So generic time in the mines. I do enjoy flying the CRJ. It's borderline hat. It's an aircraft where you have to manage the speeds and whatnot yourself, but it's got just enough automation to make it unlike your Airbuses and the like. It's a lovely jet to fly. It's criminally underrated. If they can get that, I'll turn on the ground radar. If they can get the weather radar functioning and address some of those other little concerns, like I think I never do holds anyway, but holds, which I'm guessing is important when you're doing VATSIM flying, all of those little things are key to make it more enjoyable, more useful when you're flying in VATSIM in real world. So we're going to turn this on to manual, this cross feed thing. Turn on our pitot tubes, they can come on now. And then we might as well push the magic B button to set our, what is our, it must be 13 degrees, that's surely not right. Anyway, what else was I going to do? Set that to manual. Oh yes, we click on this little spot up here, that gets our takeoff and go around thing arm, so just make sure that's part of the checklist, that's on. Our probes are on. We can turn on our strobe and our landing lights, and we can start entering the runway. Likely we saw tarmac across here. One thing we will do is turn on our transponder, and we will line up for the runway. Right, we'll probably have to do a fast departure. There's a AI traffic coming into land, so we'll do a speedy takeoff. And we are set to go, so we put our spoil up first, but we're just going to go full takeoff. Set it to takeoff, go around, and what we can do is have this thing down. This is quite handy to use. And we are cleared for takeoff. Start our rotation now. Rotate. And we are away. A lovely jet. Can't wait for the Fokker to come out though. Really looking forward to the 100. We can now sort of angle it down a bit, speed her up. Set our speed to, set it to 200 from now. And we can just basically arm our autopilot actually. So we've got our speed, we want to set our speed, indicated airspeed for our departure. We can set that. What's our speed anyway? Are there any speed restrictions? Not really, we'll just set we'll just set it to, I don't know, set it to 228, that should be pleasant enough to do these turns. We can now disengage our thrust reversers, we don't need those anymore. Get rid of the flaps and slats, and we can turn this to auto. And that's basically our departure. I might increase the speed, warp speed to two times. And yeah, start our climb out of this airport, out of Perth. It's definitely a beautiful part of Australia, Perth. I really enjoyed my time when I was there when I was younger. It's a beautiful city on the Indian Ocean. It's probably the most remotest city in Australia. Yeah, such a lovely aircraft to fly. I really do enjoy rock climbers. And we push B, set our QNH to standard. We are now above 10,000 feet. We can take off all of these landing lights, the logo lights. We'll speed this up to 250 now. This is how you, and then we can go into climb mode. I keep on forgetting to do that too. So set your throttle to climb mode, and now it's, and a bit like the Boeing, you just right click and then left click to synchronize your heading. Flying over the beautiful Perth coastline, beautiful white sandy beaches. Flying over Rotten East Island, which is, I know they've got the water maskers which look really nice. But believe Brightness Island is famous for its penguins. There's a massive penguin colony on that island. But it does look very spectacular, doesn't it? With the reefs and whatnot dotted around the island there. Even got an airport too. I believe it's pretty much a wildlife reserve too. Once we do this turn, we might slowly increase our speed a little bit more. Our climb out speed, if we go to our VNAV page, is 290, so... And I like to keep it onto this page here. This gives you an idea on your descent when you come up to your top of descent. Once we start our base turn, I'll just, our final sort of main like kink, I'll start speeding it up to 290, which is our climb altitude. Can take our seatbelts down to auto, let the passengers out and about, and I believe that is pretty much all we needed to do for our departure there. We're pretty much on our way. I have no idea what this island's like. Like I say, Alliance Air does fly their Fokker 100s to this island, so it'll be interesting to see what's there in the default Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 package. But yeah, we'll find out what is there to do and see and whatnot. And yeah, that's us all tidied up. Increase the speed to 4 times and dial this out so I can see where we're going. What's our minimums for this arrival, just so we're set for that. So our minimums is 450. I don't know if that's what we use, but we use 450. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Flying over the beautiful Australian outback now. Woohoo, got internet back again. Now we set that to max 0.77 now that we've gone past the, now we're in the Mach zone. Sounds like the great white shark in the bite zone. We're in the Mach zone now. Mach zone. And yeah, it's a very easy jet to fly when you break it down. It's very simple. There are quirks to it, like there is this advisory VNAV thing that you can use, which I've got. I don't think it's one of those option buttons you can click somewhere. It's I believe not most aircraft are not fitted with this function, but I use it because it's just easy, makes things a bit easier, life easier, because if you don't have that, then you have to use the vertical speed, and I find, or I'm flying this on my laptop, I find it quite hard to like look at the screens and, you know. But yeah, we're coming up to our cruise altitude now, so we will start setting our cruise thrust, which is basically really, it's just guessing and hoping that you set it correctly, and you just monitor it throughout your whole flight. Such a sparse and desolate continent, Australia in most parts. I'm guessing there must be some sort of farming going on here, those big classic Australian ranches full of cattle. These must be former mining pits that are now turned into lakes. That one probably is. That one looks like it's a bit too big for a mine. And now we can just sort of throttle back gently and just sort of see it's sort of coming down a bit too much. A little bit more throttle, and I think we just, that's it. Not much really, just below the climb detent, and that's basically holding it there, which is perfect. All of these look like dried up riverbeds. No, it's a very beautiful continent when you look at it. I can imagine it's hard as anything living out here. Alright, well probably, the good thing about the CRJ is you can go up to the next level of speed, which is 8 times, and it holds itself really well. So we're going to go to 8 times and try and speed up this flight. What we can do now, we can set our landing altitude while we're, if it gets too much we might have to dial it back, but yeah, we'll dial it back. It's 4 times might be the limit today. It's quite temperamental, it can. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Our airport landing altitude is 20, so we just dial this back 2 notches. Done, set at 20, so we've got that set, we've got our minimum set. We're going to use the MDA for our arrival because this is just an RNAV approach. And we're going to attempt to do this using the vertical speed indicator. We will activate this VNAV just for simplicity, and this YouTube channel that I'm doing is more about simplicity, trying to make flying these complicated aircraft as easy as possible, and then it's up to you whether you want to have a challenge. But what you would do is, I believe, see, this is where we start our descent, so you when you get like, where is it? That's our top of descent there. Just before you get to your top of descent, you set your descent speed to, this is why you go into this, keep this direct page up, so it has your like required descent speed, so you so when you get closer, these numbers will get bigger, and you just set that. So argument's sake, you set your vertical speed to minus 600 feet, and that should give you the desired descent rate. And I believe pilots also use speed to get the correct rate of descent as well. They use a mixture of that and throttling back and air brakes, but I believe that can be quite uncomfortable for the passengers. But there's that option there too. We might try it actually, we'll give it a go, eh? But yeah, we can start scrolling the range back a little bit. Enjoy the enjoy the stunning Australian outback scenery. Might try and get a thumbnail pic, maybe with the sun away from us. Yeah, look at that. Look at that beautiful red desert, the outback. Full of snakes and everything in there, I can imagine. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what this island is like that we're flying to. Is it a tropical island? Has it got palm beaches and mangoes? We'll find out. Got a nice light little tailwind too, which is a bonus. Give it another little short blast, speed it up a bit. Ease her off a bit, it's getting a bit too much like a roller coaster ride there. Looks like some more like dried up these must be like salt beds, so there's salt lake beds, that must be another mine, a former mine or whatever. Yeah, it's basically like being on Mars, this area of the world. It's just such a inhospitable foreign landscape really. Only the harshest, only the strongest of Australians can survive out here, that's for sure. I'll keep my nice lush green Kiwi landscape. So we're getting up to our top of descent. What I usually do is if I'm not having ATC, I just dial it down to my final approach altitude, and I just dial it in, and then I just push the VNAV button, and it basically holds the whole descent. But I guess for this video I believe they go off the last one on the page from my vague memory of watching that tutorial, so we either set 1800 in the vertical speed, or the other way is to use the speed button here, which holds it to the indicated speed, and then you just use the throttle and spoilers. You'll see soon. You'll see the little green diamond that will appear, and you just keep it on profile, I guess you could say. So we'll dial our altitude back anyway. We'll get our altitude ready. So we're just gonna scroll it all the way back to 2,000 feet. Have one more look out of the window. Beautiful red Australian deserts. The outback. When you look at it, it's such an ancient country, like both geologically and like geographically, like it is such an old country. So we will try this one to begin with, eh? So I want to set it to 2717, I should say. And we want to keep that little snowflake sort of thereabouts, so we might need to increase our vertical speed maybe. We need to speed it up a bit to keep it on that Mach 77. Oh yeah, it is. Oh yeah, that's the descent you want, which is what we're max reaching actually. It's thereabouts 2.5, 2.6. I was going off the wrong numbers. That's the little arrow is the rate of descent, which you need to reach that restriction, which is basically our final approach, 2.6. And we're pretty much keeping it thereabouts. We need to reduce our speed, of course. Actually, we're now going into below the max speed, so we can set this up to 320, and we'll reduce our time warp speed. Look at that, that's stunning. Absolutely stunning, that. What we might try actually, we might try the other method is using our indicated speed, so we'll click on that and we'll dial it up to we'll see if we can use our just about adjusting the throttle until it sort of settles down a bit. So that's another way you can use it too. I don't think it's pleasant on the passengers, but that's another way you use it. You just get that mixture of the throttle and the airspeed, and you just try and keep that snowflake as close as possible to that line. But yeah, that's absolutely stunning. That's going into the photo gallery. Yeah, we just hold the speed until we get onto the next segment. And we're going to be 140 knots is our landing speed, so we want to be roughly at between 700 to 800 feet per whatever it is, feet per minute I think it is. That's where we want to set our vertical speed to anyway when we're approaching. At 0.8 miles to basically 1 nautical mile to that last fix. I'm going to use a little bit of speed brake just to get this nose down a bit more. And we might as well start configuring for our initial, like not initial approach kind of thing, but the passenger signs. Turn on our landing lights just so it's done, because it's as it goes not. It's a one-man team. All of that set. What we will do is we will decrease our speed to 250 knots. Combination of slowly reducing speed and using a bit of spoilers to get that speed under control. Can now push B to set our altitude, our altimeters. Yeah, this is actually working alright, the speed, using the speed brakes and the throttles is a pretty good combination actually. This is sort of what you'll be doing anyway in real life, but that's a good option there. Click on, I'll show you, I'll do another YouTube video on doing an ILS, because if you're doing an ILS approach and you have that engaged, it doesn't engage the ILS, it can be quite annoying. But yes, we are slowly reducing our speed. We can now dial this range in closer. And we want to be doing 100 at 210, so we'll dial this down to 210. This will slowly start working its way back up and we drop a bit more speed. But it's very satisfactory when you're using these sort of old school methods to fly these aircraft. Like there's that fail-safe button for if you are, even if you just want to just relax, you know, not worry too much about whatever, you know. But using a combination of the speed, the indicated airspeed and the vertical speed, it's great to like try and get that as close as possible and doing it yourself. So I've almost got it at idle thrusts and I'm just using the speed brake just to do the rest, just to keep that little snowflake onto the thereabouts on that white line there. And then we'll sort of do this little dog leg, and then that will line us up for the runway. And I think we should set our, do we set this to our, maybe we do set this to our go around altitude, so we'll set that to 400. Just set the speed now. We can now basically arm our reverse thrusts. We're about a 9 nautical mile. When we get to about 5 or 6, we'll lower the landing gear and configure ourselves for our final approach. We'll set up for our landing speed. So once we get below 2,000 feet, I'm going to try and see what happens if I dial this up to our missed approach. I'm actually quite curious now. Oh, it's disappeared now, so it must be, I don't know. Right, we'll take over now. I think to fly that in an RNAV approach you need to use vertical speed, and we sort of messed that up a bit there, but not to worry.
Sync rate 1,000.
400. 300.
Sync rate.
200.
Sync rate.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
And here we are. Landed at this Barrow Island. Not quite the same turning radius as the BAE, but it's still okay. And now we can basically start our after landing procedures. So we want to disarm these thrust reverse. We can now turn off our pilot pitos, turn on our APU. We don't need our landing lights anymore. And that's basically that. Yep, that's our after landing checks. Oh, we can turn off our landing lights, just need our... It's a very bright sunny day here. And you probably give it, can take our flaps up too. Now what we could do is we could now that our engines are cooled down, we can just do a single engine taxi. We can turn off our engine number 2. We can just do a single engine taxi into the airport. And I do find this heads-up display quite handy, that little arrow there that gives you an indication on your speed. Like if you throttle all the way back down, it will go all the way back down, so it gives you an idea on if you need to be throttling up or throttling down. And then you've got your speed indicator there, which is always handy to have. We might as well turn off our landing lights and our strobe lights, turn on our logo lights. And that's basically us, really. And these airports, I think they're like taxi in, taxi out. I don't think in real life they have a tug as it's indicated in these dotted lines. This is just a generic airport thing, I'm guessing, so it's not completely modelled. That would do. We're away from the apron there. Gauge our parking brake. I'm just going to do a little due to that tug there, we will actually, I'll just park a bit more closer. But not too close. That will do, and now we can power down the aircraft. Beacon light off. Hydraulics. We lower the doors first, don't we? Wheel chocks on, passenger door. Ground power can come on. Fuel pumps can come off. These buttons can come off. And the hydraulics can now all come off. And that is us landed at, what is this place called again? Barrow Island in Australia, northwestern Australia. What they do here, I've got no idea. I'm assuming there's mines or little communities out here. But yeah, here we are. The Alliance Fokker Friendship livery on the CRJ. Thank you for joining me on that flight. I think that's basically everything correctly shut down and whatnot. Yeah, pretty cool aircraft to fly. It has a few quirks and whatnot, but all in all, it's a nice aircraft to fly. So definitely recommend getting it if you don't. If you do have it and you've first flown it and you had no idea what you're doing, get it out and try again. You'll really enjoy flying it. It's a nice aircraft. Well folks, thanks for watching that video and see you again shortly.